Since the release of the first Dark Souls game, the series, and the seemingly infinite stream of Souls-likes that followed, have captured our imaginations with a show, don't tell approach to storytelling. If you've never played these games, the environment serves as our narrator, with NPCs leading us along blink and you'll miss it storylines, where the placement of items and single, seemingly offhand pieces of dialogue can carry incredible narrative weight. I could wax poetic all day long about the deep, layered storytelling within these games, but today, I'd like to talk about my favorite bit of hidden world building from within the Souls games and Elden Ring: the music. When I think of final boss music in games, I think of bombastic themes with huge drums, a giant string and horn section lifting us up, violent, hectic pacing, and a chorus of people shouting. After all, we've spent the entire game up to this point, sometimes hundreds of hours of gameplay building up to a final, crucial battle. The theme should reflect the occasion. But when we encounter the final boss of the first Dark Souls game, Gwyn, his theme has no trumpets, no strings, choruses, or drums. Instead, we are presented with a pensive, droning, decidedly minor marriage between two piano parts. The rhythm, a simple ascending A-E-A over a hypnotic arpeggio ascending through the key of A minor. And the melody, a heartbreaking, mournful piano chime. The music shows us Gwyn as he is, the sad, broken shell of a god trying desperately to cling to the last vestiges of the world he created. For much of the game, we're told how powerful and influential Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, is. He was this world's Prometheus, bringing light to the world. He slayed dragons, built the breathtaking city of Anor Londo, and kept lit the first flame. We have to vanquish him in order to usher in a new age of light, or dark, or so we're told. But if we paid attention on our journey through Lordran, we're shown that the age of Gwyn has passed. The people of Lordran are reduced to husks. The city of Anor Londo is crumbling, and Gwyn himself is no Lord of Sunlight. He's been reduced to a shadow of the god king he once was, a Lord of Cinders. When we kill Gwyn, we're presented with a choice. We can continue Gwyn's work and rekindle the first flame, perpetuating the stagnation of the Age of Light, or let the flame go out, and go boldly into a new age, an Age of Dark. This is a theme present in every mainline Souls game, that change is terrifying, seductive, and unknowable, and that stagnation is comforting and saccharine. The choice is ours, and I think it's a fantastic way to tell a story. By the time we reach Dark Souls 3, the first flame has been kindled, allowed to burn out, and rekindled so many times for so many millennia that the final boss of the game, the soul of Cinder, is no longer a single person, but an amalgamation of all of the souls that have vanquished the preceding keeper of the first flame. He is the epilogue of each previous playthrough of any Souls game, a nameless, single-minded obstacle that assumes we kept the first flame lit, or that it rekindled on its own. I think it's a very cool way to say that all of the endings chosen by every person who had ever played a Dark Souls game were canon. Meanwhile, the main character of Dark Souls 3 is no longer known as the Chosen Undead, as in the first Dark Souls game, but as the Ashen One, because you are the last hope coming from the remains of 1,000 ages past, the ages of a long since burnt fire. Just as thoughts of the undead evoke feelings of stagnation, a defining theme in Dark Souls 1, the overarching theme for our character in Dark Souls 3 is reflected in our name, ashes that symbolize rebirth. The music in the Soul of Cinder's theme reflects this as well. Here we get the drums and horns we'd expect from a final boss, the chorus heralding our arrival, the arrival of the new king. Until 2 minutes and 18 seconds in, when the theme slowly transitions back into Gwyn's theme, and beckons us to consider the choices of the millions of souls who came before us. No longer pensive and sad, but contemplative and reflective of our final, seemingly pointless choice. Do we relight the flame and perpetuate the cycle, stifle the flame, and usher in a new age of dark?
In each of these conventional choices,
we're shown something intensely revealing. If we rekindle the flame and become the new soul of Cinder, it isn't the roaring, explosive fire of life from the ending of the first game, but a weak fire
that the Ashen One protects within himself.
The first flame, even with all of the souls sacrificing themselves to kindle and rekindle it over millennia, is succumbing to entropy. And on the other hand, if we allow the Fire Keeper to allow the first flame to die out, she says,
"But one day, tiny flames will dance across the darkness.
The first flame will eventually rekindle on its own and usher in a new age of light." Either way, the game relays to us that we're just a single day or night in a forever alternating cycle of light and dark. And I think it's incredibly thought-provoking and symbolic. In Elden Ring's opening theme, we have the opposite of the progression from the Soul of Cinders. This time, we begin with another sad, contemplative melody, and if you listen carefully, you can hear inklings of Gwyn's melody here too. But the drums behind the melody build, and build to an explosion. The epic theme beckoning us to become Elden Lord. When we fight Radagon, the theme begins precisely where the opening theme explodes and builds from and around it. The drums and choral arrangement become more pronounced, and there's an extended middle section with dueling strings. It's awe-inspiring, it's exciting. After 100 hours of gameplay, the opening theme was so recognizable to me that revisiting it felt like it was my theme, and that the music was ushering in my arrival, my fight against Radagon and the Greater Will. And just as we've won against Radagon, the man who's held this world hostage, the manifestation of the Greater Will coalesces, the Elden Beast. And the theme reverts to its beginning. But now, Gwyn's somber melody is accompanied by the voice of a single woman, which builds slowly up, and away into many, many voices later on. This ascension from a single melancholic voice to powerfully layered harmonies is the music relaying a simple narrative to us. We feel the futility of our fight against the unseen gods of our environment, but as we learn the fight and last long enough to hear the progression of the music, it reaches its climax, the moment we destroy the Elden Beast and claim our own chosen ending. However you choose to play the Souls games, I hope that on your next playthrough, you pay special attention to the soundtrack. To me, they strike feelings of futility and triumph, which I think are the true themes of a Souls game. The futility of bashing our heads into the same boss over and over again as we learn the fight, and the triumph of finally vanquishing them. Thank you for watching. My name's Chris Bromley, and I appreciate your time.